Let's talk about project management softwares. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals to be successful project managers. Before I start, make sure you like and share this video here so it can reach more people and more people can learn project management. By doing that, you also help me and my channel, so I appreciate a lot. And of course, I'm going to make a free event called uh, Planner Pro Planner Pro Live Masterclass. It's going to be an event in the Zoom. So it's going to be a masterclass about project planning. If you are interested in that, it's free. Just click in the link here and subscribe. You should be aware that's of course Zoom, maximum 100 participants. So make sure that you also subscribe. You check the information there and you join on time. So let's talk about project management softwares. This is a question that I get also quite often. People asking, which software should I learn to develop my career in project management? I'm going to start with an example here saying that does not really make sense before starting to work with something that you want to work with a lot of different softwares. Why? Because every company will use different type of software. For example, let's talk about a schedule management software, for example. You are going to find out there's Microsoft Project, which is probably one of the most used ones. You are going to talk about Primavera P6. There's Smartsheet, and there are also other software that can be used also to manage the project, like Jira, Monday.com, Asana, Trello. So there are several different software options there. What do you need to learn? Well, you need first, more important than learning and knowing a software, it's having the foundational knowledge and understanding the logic that will make the software useful there. Let me tell you a case that happened with me. In the beginning of my career, I was working as a planning and controlling engineer there. I started, of course, I did not know anything about planning. I did not know anything about how to use MS Project, or I did not know anything about project management. Anyway, I started there. I started to learn, started to develop myself. Fast forward a bit, I think around 1 year, I was in a more mature level. And then the company, I was taking care of a big project there. And the company, they hired a planner to be located on site because it was an engineering procurement and construction project. So I was planning a big thing, and the company wanted to have someone just focusing on the day-to-day activities planning for the site. And this guy started in the company, and the first thing that he did is say, "Oh, I'm good, very good with Microsoft project there." At the time, my Microsoft project was fairly limited. Oh, I knew, of course, I've learned it in 1 year, but it was quite different from where I am today. Uh, and they say, "Oh, can I review your timeline?" I said to the guy, "Yes, go ahead and review it." And he reviewed my timeline. I think probably the other day he comes say, "Hey, come and take a look here. I modified this, I improved this." Say, "Very nice. Let me take a look." And in 30 seconds, I found something wrong. You can imagine, he was the Microsoft expert there. No doubt on that. He knew to use functionalities that I was not even aware how to use. He could create visualizations that at the time I was not even aware that was possible. But there was a big problem in the timeline that he created. First thing that I noticed that once he changed the timeline, the project duration that was 15 months, 15, 1 5, changed to 30 months. First, very big problem with that. This we had a contract with a customer to execute this project in 15 months. And there was a daily penalty there. I do not remember, I do not recall exactly values, but per day of delay should be around $5,000 at the currency at the time. So you can imagine if from 15 months to 30 months, you are doubling the time of execution, or the doubling the full time for the contract, because this was not only execution, that included design and so on. And I look at things, but the project duration now it takes 30 months. And then he was like, yeah, but if it's 30 months, 30 months, I say, we have a customer that hired us to do it in 15 months. We are just starting the planning phase. Do you want to explain to the company why we are going to be 1.5 years late for the project? And I did not check all the details in his timeline because that was clearly not possible. But why I'm telling you this story? Just to showcase that having the knowledge in the tool, like you learning how to use MS Project, for example, one of the software there, it's a good thing. Yes. It's the most important thing. No. For example, I can teach you how to use MS Project or how to understand basic functionality to create a timeline. Yeah, very short period of time, a couple of hours. I show you how to do it. I give some exercise. You can do that. What's the problem if you only know how to use MS Project? You don't know how to plan a project. And just so using the tool, learning and understanding how to be the specialist in the tool is useless. It's useless knowledge if you do not understand how to plan the project. So understanding how to plan the project, because this is a foundation skill which is going to be much more critical in understanding how to use the tool. So because I've already mentioned different companies will use different types of software. So if you only understand the software, you have a limit range what you can do. If you understand the project planning, how to plan a project, if you understand the project planning skills, you can use any type of software because it's just learning how to use the tool. If I make a different analogy here, think about driving a car. Let's assume that you have a driver's license there, because the car in this case would be the tool. The car is the MS project. So I know how to drive a car. Very nice. But in the end, if you say, I want to go from Amsterdam to Rome, what do you need? What you need with the project planning skills? The project planning skills helps you to understand the destination, helps you to set up a route. The software skill is only driving the car. So say, I know how to drive the car. Do you know which direction you should drive the car? No. Do you know where we should go? No. So knowing how to drive the car, it will not get the chance you to go very far. And I'm going to give you another example why this does not work only understanding the software tool. Then I mentioned I experienced very early stages of my career. Then fast forward for the future, I was working as a program manager in a big program there, and then we hired a junior project manager to help me to handle the three projects that I have going in parallel there. And in this case, I gave to him the smallest project that was a new one. And what I asked from him and say, as part of your onboarding, because I want you to develop the skills, I want you to plan the project. Create this plan the project. You have here the two other big projects you can use as reference. You have here some information, but I want you to come up with a project plan. And I tasked him to do it. Say, okay, take 1 week to do that and go and work. But I told him, I want you to understand what you're doing there, taking the steps to understand, okay, what's a critical path, what is important, how those things are interconnected, does it not, what kind of risks that we have here, because this is part of a planning process there. And when he told me, okay, it's ready, let's review together, then he opened at the MS project there, and I look at, okay, why you are doing this here? And he told me, yeah, because it was in the original one. I just copy. But I asked him, okay, do you know if that makes sense or not for this project? And he said, no, no, I copied the original one. If the original one is wrong, this one is also wrong. Then I start to ask, okay, you're planning to build samples. You put here 1 week. How many samples you can build in 1 week? And he was like, I copy what was in the master one. And by the end, my feedback for him was quite simple. Like having only the MS project the way you have it right now, it's useless. Because what you want as a project manager, you want to be able to add value there. If you copy a timeline, can be whatever software that you're using, but you do not understand this timeline, first, the timeline that you're creating there is quite useless there. If you do not understand underlying assumptions, if you do not understand the connections, if you do not understand the critical path, all those things are useless there. And he was like, I copied. Yeah, this is also not a good behavior because once you figure out there's something wrong, you're just blaming, okay, someone else did it, I just copied the mistake. So it does not make even sense. So why you're copying something that you do not even know if it's correct or wrong? And try to defend that does not make even sense. So that was I was pointing out because this junior project manager is reporting to me. It's like you need to understand what you're doing, and it's fine if you come here and tell me that you do not understand everything. But we are reviewing a project plan, so you need what you don't understand. You need to come as with questions, not saying that everything is ready. And if I ask you a couple of questions, you don't even know how to explain it. Why this is important? How you're going to explain this timeline to your team if you do not understand it? How you're going to explain this timeline to your customer? And this is the kind of thing that happen quite often. I've seen in a recent case that was in a review meeting. This guy was a senior project manager. He presented a timeline, and someone questioned, "Hey, this qualification here takes too long, 4 months. Why is that long?" And he started to give an answer. Nothing. He could not explain why it was 4 months, which should be easy. Okay, we are doing this type of test. This is the duration of the test, and that's how you come up here. And I'm telling you, I told you an example from a planner that was just starting, that was an expert in the software. I told you an example of a junior project manager, and I told you an example of a senior project manager. So if you only focus in understanding the tool, it's like the analogy of the car. You know how to drive the car, but you don't know where to drive the car. So it's useless. And if you say, but I want to learn a tool. For example, I tell people if you want to get some knowledge on the tool, get knowledge on Microsoft project. And the simple reason for that is the Microsoft projects like the six most used tool around the world. And because of its cost, it's fairly used in a lot of different industries. For example, I use it in engineering, procurement, and construction. I use it on automotive business. I use it in semiconductor business. But what I'm telling you, yes, you can learn it. You can even find other videos from me where I give you a very detailed explanation how to use Microsoft project. But if you understand, okay, I know how to use the tool, but I don't know how to do the rest, it's also useless. It goes the same thing with Trello, with Asana, with Jira, with Monday.com. If you say, I know how to use the tool, but that's basically where you stop. You don't know, okay, what's the idea of having a Kanban board? How I'm going to control this? Why is this important to have a Kanban board? Why is this important to keep this updated? So you're doing a job, but you're not adding value there. What you want to be successful there is not so I'm going to use a tool, because very nice that you know how to use the tools, but if you do not understand the planning logic there, you are going to be in trouble. And this is very important. And I tell these people for all the time for a lot of things. Because the tool itself, it's like understanding how to use a template. The template itself, for example, a template of a project charter or a template of a business case. The template itself is useless if you do not understand the foundation and how to apply it. Because the template is also going to be only another tool. And if you do not have this foundation that enables you to get value from the tool, then man, you are in trouble. Then you are going to be in all those situations that you get questions, and you are going to have a hard time. Because what do you think? What is going to happen if you go for a meeting with management and they start to question some stuff in the timeline, and you don't have even a clue how to explain it. Like in the case that I mentioned at the beginning of my career, can you imagine that you go to management saying, "Okay, we just got a business, we were awarded a business, we are starting a new project here, 15 months duration. That might be challenging, and that's not to discuss it. But in the first week, you say, by the way, we cannot make in 15 months, we need 30 months. So we are going to lose this much millions here in the first week of the project." And might be the case, as you say, if we need to reach the what you need to think, it's like, what do we need to do to make sure that we can make the 15 months? And I understand, depending on the task, it's kind of impossible. I've seen once the CEO of the company ask for the team to execute something like in a Friday, say, "You must do that. I order you." But yeah, it was in a construction scenario. He was basically asking to get the full construction done in 2 days, which is okay. Even if you want, why do you think you're going to do it? How much money you think you can put there? And likely it's not even going to work. Because if it's construction, you need to put the concrete there and need to give some time to the concrete to cure. It's a time that you need to wait to make sure that the concrete is still not soft. So it takes more than 2 days that. So this is a kind of thing. Then of course this is a very extreme case, and I understand that those cases exist. But in general, if you have a timeline to do something to complete an entire project in 1 or 2 days, is something to ask for 1.5 year more. Yeah, probably you can look for plenty of options how you can optimize it. And if you want to be valuable, if you want to add value for the organization, that needs to be your position. So stop thinking about those tools too much and start to think about this foundation that you need to develop there. And of course, that's why I created my development programs there. And I have one that's just focusing on planning to make sure that you understand what's a planning, what the kind of skills that you need to do, what type of actions that you need to take. For example, I talk about few of them here. Understanding, okay, what's the critical path? The relations of the task, they make sense. What kind of assumptions you have for the demand task duration? And I understand again that starting a project can be challenging. For example, in the first project I got I was promoted to be a project manager. The company say, because I'm going to assign a planner to help you because we had a deadline of 1 week, we need to deliver a timeline to the customer. So they assigned from another project a planner to help me. And I asked the planner, okay, can you start there? Basically, his feedback was, you need to give me all the designs so I can calculate all the details so I can create you the timeline. What's the problem with that? Well, if you are working into a type of project that, in this case, it was that you have engineering, procurement, and construction. What the engineering mean? That we need to design everything, then we need to buy stuff, then we need to build stuff. At the point that I would have the entire design, to him to be able to create a plan would be likely 2 or 3 months in the future. So that already killed my milestone with the customer, and already killed my complete project. So when you are starting a project, you are going to make a lot of assumptions because at the first steps you don't know everything. But it's important that you understand what assumption I'm making here. For example, the example I mentioned for the same engineer, 4 months qualification. What does it have? What do you have there? I don't know, 2,500 hours of on a specific test. Then you say, okay, that's why it takes 4 months. That can be an assumption. In a later stage, you might learn that this is not 2,500, this is 3,000, or this is 1,000 hours. And you review this assumption and you review your project plan based on that. But if you do not understand the assumptions that you are making, it's just a crap that you have there. What you're going to do with that? I'm going to tell my team that I need to do it. Say, it needs to be in 2 months. And somebody comes and tell you, yeah, but it's a 3,000 hour test. 3,000 hours is already more than 2 months. That's physically not possible to meet it. That's kind of the example that I give about the guy asking to complete a construction in 2 days. This is what the planning process is about. And of course, if you really are interested in learning this more in details about the planning process there, just I invite you again, subscribe for the Planner Pro live masterclass. It's free. It's going to be on Zoom, so we also can interact. The only thing that you need to do here is click in the link and subscribe. Hope, of course, you like this content. Make sure you like and share this video so we can reach more people and more people can learn project management. Also, that helps me and my channel to grow, and I'm going to appreciate that a lot. Thank you and see you soon. Bye.